what you talking about, boy. See what you talking about, boy. See what you talking about, boy. See you be talking that. See what you talking about, boy. See what you talking about, boy. See what you talking about, boy. See you be talking that. I'm on that radio. I speak it though. What's on your mind? It's deep though. We'll speak it though. We on the air. Just take it there. I'ma take it there. Hold up. Yeah, I'm talking about it, but I'm real about it. I speak on it, but don't catch films about it. We can chop it up like it's nothing, baby. Things that have you like, wow, now that's crazy. Now I know we getting, just take it there. Yes, this that OT show, baby, where we take it there. Like ATL, Friday, 7 p.m. straight to 9. This that OT show, baby, now we on that line. See what you talking about, boy. See what you talking about, boy. See what you talking about, boy. See you be talking that.
What's going on, everybody? We are here live here on this beautiful Saturday with your boy OT. Hey, we got a very good show for y'all today. Today we are bringing on author, motivating speaker, Miss Lena Fields-Arnold, joining your boy here on the show, and they are saying that she's already here and joining me first thing this afternoon, as OT call it. So let's go ahead and bring her in. They said bring her in, so she's in. How are you feeling?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Oh, I am doing good. On this beautiful, beautiful Saturday.
It is
We're
beautiful.
here,
Yes, it is.
we're breathing, and we see one another right now.
Yes.
Yes.
And you know, I'm having hot flashes, y'all. So if you see me sweating, it's because of that. I used to work with a lady back in the day, and I used to tease her because she was always going through it. I'm like, oh my God, now I know how she feels. I feel like I need to make that disclaimer in case you sweat beads popping all over my head.
It is A-okay. That's why we love, you know, people who come on and they are actually just natural, right? There's no funk in it. There's no BS. This is us. This is organic. This is us.
Yeah, you would definitely get that from me. That's for sure.
Well, I didn't already introduce you already a little bit. So can you tell all our listeners and people who are subscribed and all our family that are watching a little bit about you?
All right. Well, I'm Lena Fields-Arnold. I'm an author, poet, motivational speaker, and I'm the author of several books. And I have my own publishing company that I kind of just started, long story short, to publish my first book because I had a publisher for it, but I didn't like the direction they were taking it. So my husband and I decided, you know what, let's try to do this on our own. And so we did. And from there, the first child was, For This Child We Prayed, Living with the Secret Shame of Infertility. And it kind of tells our story about being Black people in America and believers, and kind of the unique struggles that we have with infertility in terms of a lot of the myths at that time that were associated with infertility. Things are a lot different now. There have been more books written from that perspective since then, but ours was the first book written from both those perspectives. And it's, you know, talks about our story with going through the different fertility treatments, ultimately ending. I shouldn't say ending, but we ended up doing in vitro, and that's how my daughter was conceived and my twin son. So in vitro. And then from there, published several books on poetry, published a couple books for some young authors. And the last book, let's see, which one is it? In the Absence of My Father, which hopefully, it's Jackie's Way, children's book, which is kind of a first of a 12-part series of dealing with different issues in kids' lives from a really fun, non-judgmental standpoint. And all the stories in Jackie's Way are loosely based. Well, I shouldn't say loosely. They pretty much are based on real stuff that happened to me growing up.
Wow.
So the next book is Jackie's Double Dog Dare, which talks about cultural acceptance, because we had a neighbor who was a Filipino, and we used to do really dumb, bad kid things like throw cherries when they were having a party. And we were so ignorant. I'm not we were bad. But my mom and her were friends actually. So it was actually my
Uh-huh.
mom that kind of taught us how to respect the values and of different people, because my mom and dad lived in Japan for
Uh-huh.
several years before
Mhm.
they came back when he was in the military. So kind of helped me out. So that's where the basis of that book is from.
Wow. Well, I mean, you
Uh-oh,
didn't.
you're frozen.
Oh, okay, okay.
Okay,
Where
you're back.
should we start? Where should we start? Because right now you just gave us a whole trilogy about, basically, seriously about you know what you went through, right? Far as fertilities and stuff like that, and then what kids are going through, and you giving them like things that you've been going through childhood, and I'm just sitting here, and honestly, I'm like sitting here amazed, and like I'm just want to just hear everything. Like
Woo.
I'm the person. I am the person. I am the audience right now because sometimes when I do interviews, sometimes I love to listen to their story, right? And when you say you've written a book, your first book was, for fertility and everything else, a lot of people in our community don't talk about that.
Mm-hmm.
Let's
Mm-hmm.
go ahead and say that first of all. We don't talk about things like that. And now they are talking about it, but back then they never talked about it.
Yeah.
And you wrote a book about it.
Yeah,
And
yeah, absolutely. And you're absolutely right. And since then, I've seen celebrities talking about it. Michelle Obama talked about it in her book. Let's see who else talked about it. Beyonce, I believe, her and her husband, I think, struggled with infertility. And I can't remember, but you're right. Back then, almost 20 years ago, Black people weren't really talking about it. And Christians definitely weren't talking about it. It was like if you tried to talk about it, you'd get, oh, you just need to pray more,
right.
or you just need to trust God more. If you try to talk about it with somebody who was into health, they'll try to tell you what you need to eat. I literally had a friend who told me I need to have sex upside down.
Listen,
Crazy, crazy
listen.
stuff. You hear me? Um, yeah, or they tell you didn't have enough faith. There's just things like that. Or Black people say, what is wrong with you? We don't have problems with infertility in our community. We're descendants of slaves. We just go get pregnant and have a baby in the field and go back to work, kind of thing. So
Right.
but when you look at the history of infertility and you study it, and who it impacts everybody equally. It doesn't matter what your race or your ethnicity or your background or your income or socioeconomic status.
Mhm.
It impacts everybody equally. Um, I will say that depending on the culture, particularly in our culture, we're less likely, and it's like I said, it's better now, but
Mhm.
we were at that time definitely less likely to seek help. So in terms of getting treatment, white people were ahead of us because they would go
Yes.
get treatment for infertility, and so a lot of their problems will get resolved, whereas we would not. And many of the problems we're finding or have since found out are very treatable, especially if you take care of it right away. Things like um, pelvic inflammatory disease or endometriosis, or some of the things that contribute to infertility, are very solvable. So
Mhm.
and for me, mine had gotten so far. I had endometriosis really bad. So it basically, long story short, it caused a lot of scar tissue in your uterus and in your
Mhm.
fallopian tubes, and depending on how bad it is, it can just kind of be everywhere. So in my case, it was really bad, and it had caused the philia or cilia, the little lining in the fallopian tubes, were no,
Mhm.
they wouldn't work anymore. So even though I was
Wow.
producing eggs, they couldn't get the fertilized egg, couldn't get where it needed to get. So we went through various oral drugs. We did before going through in vitro, we did IUI, which is intrauterine insemination, and finally in vitro, where they removed the eggs, and they basically, I had test tube babies, y'all.
But let me
But
go
it
ahead and say
was
this though. You have the blessings though. You had see what people used to say test tube babies, right? I used to always be like, okay, all right, what they put the eggs in the, in the sperm in a little tube. Okay, all right, but at the end of the day, a baby is still conceived regardless of how you figure it, right?
yeah.
And it's still a blessing.
And
So,
I should say they're not literally in a tube, because people do say that,
right, right, right.
but but they are in a little dish. So it was actually kind of cool though, because we got to see our babies literally from conception, right? So we got to see the fertilized egg. They brought us in periodically to show us how they, split.
Uh-huh.
And then so when they finally reached the point of viability where they could, and so we saw it and we have pictures. So it's
Wow.
pretty cool. And then after they know for sure that the eggs have, settled in and you actually have a viable pregnancy, they
Hmm.
do ultrasounds after 12 weeks. So you get to see your baby's heart beating, like
Wow.
literally right from the beginning. And so it's kind of cool. It really is.
Wow. Cause you know what? Y'all are like what we used to watch in high school, like the baby birth and all that other stuff. Y'all got it live and in person. Because, what you see on TV and then when you really see it, it's two different things.
Mm-hmm.
It's two different
Yeah,
things.
yeah. And it's not over, once you conceive, then you
Uh-huh.
have a lot of other things that you deal with, right? Because
Hmm.
it's been so long. So for us, we were 12 years, right?
Wow.
Before going through this. Probably could have had it taken care of sooner had we gone to seek treatment. But then you worry about will you sustain the pregnancy? I actually was got pregnant with twins with my first pregnancy and lost one
Hmm.
after about 12, 14 weeks. And that
Hmm.
was really scary
Right.
because, you freak out like, is the other one, and same with my twins. The twins started out as triplets and I lost one during the pregnancy.
Wow.
So people don't understand that just because you get pregnant, you still worry almost all the way through, because unlike for people for whom pregnancy comes very easy, they don't really think about all the things that can go wrong during a pregnancy. But for
Hmm.
those who it doesn't come easy, you know all the things that go wrong. You're constantly thinking about them, and so it's a struggle all the way through.
Wow. Well, you know what? You got three blessings. You
Yeah,
have three blessings, and I know they are full of love.
they're fantastic. So it's been eight. My daughter's 18 now, and the
Wow.
twins are 16. So it goes so fast, man.
Yes, 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 it does. Yes, it does. I understand. I definitely understand because it's crazy to actually talk about it, especially in the community, right? And for you, like I said, for you to write a book about it, before it was actually talked about, is something that people need to start getting on board when people be writing seriously,
Yeah,
and catch on to it first because now everybody's talking about it. Now it's like, oh yeah, like it's just a natural thing now to
hmm,
talk about. But back then it wasn't.
yeah.
And like I said, you wrote a book about it, so we got to
Yeah,
give you
I
all the
count
claps.
myself as I
We
believe
got to
I'm
give
the
you all the
reason why people
claps.
talk about it now. That's what I tell myself. And the book
Yeah.
is available like for 99 cents as a download. I would give it away, except they wouldn't let me put zero in because I
Wow.
just really wanted that book to be available to anyone who wants it, who's going through it. So it's literally it's an ebook for 99 cents. I've got it as low as I can possibly get it on Amazon, so I don't make anything off of it. And literally, if someone reaches out to me and I have books available, I will send them the book for free because I don't want anybody to not have a reason to get help or get treatment.
There it is. You know what she said first, and you know what, OT. We gonna talk later on the show about that too. Me and you on a private talk because I wanna do some stuff too. So, wow. Like I'm just what can I say? I have an amazing woman sitting right in front of my
Oh,
face,
thank you.
right? That actually tells stuff for what the community is actually going through, right? And lived it, tell it. I mean, what else can I do but to just give her claps and her roses now? Gotta give her the claps and the roses now. You know what I mean? Everybody with these right here, we go ahead and do these. If I got the candles, we go ahead and do the candles. You know, um, so now we went through that journey. Now we're going to talk about the other book, the next book. So we're gonna go through the journey about childhood things. So let's talk about it.
Okay, childhood. Oh wow, where do I start? Hmm. So I'll tell you what, this might help. So I wrote this book called, actually, two things. Jackie's Way
Yeah.
is the children's book. that deals with bullying and anger management, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I had a lot of anger management issues, and I hated
Mm-hmm.
bullies. So
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of where that first book came from. And I used to get in a fight almost probably every week with this kid across the
Wow.
street, who ironically, when we got to high school, wouldn't let anybody mess with me. So it's really crazy. Um, but long story short, I wrote this book called In the Absence of My Father, which is a poetry book. Despite the title, it's really meant to affirm men and affirm fathers and help them to recognize how valuable they are, because my father was the father who started out really good. I mean, he would have been, he was the father that took us to the drive-in, we went to the beach, and then something happened. Maybe something was already going on, but we didn't know about it. But by 9 years old, he was a completely different person. He began to be abusive towards my mom. He began to be neglectful, and that started a pattern of a whole lot of just stuff, which is where some of the anger came in. And so I relate this to the story in Jackie's Way, where Roger, his name is
Mm-hmm.
Roger. It's not Roger in the book, but his real name is Roger. If you're watching this, hey, what's up, Roger? But he for whatever reason decided to pick me to be the person he was going to bully. So he was trying to beat me up in the street, and I remember running to the front door to try to get in the door. My father was standing on the other side, and he locked the door. And I'm like, what are you doing? He said, no, you need to go out there and fight. You need to learn how to take care of yourself, blah blah blah. So I was forced into fighting this little boy across the street. We were about 9, 10 years old. And that, at the time, for many years, I tried to spin that in a positive light, like, oh, my father was teaching me how to defend myself, and because he did that, I learned to fight. But it wasn't until I had my own daughter that I realized that it was a bad decision on his part, because his job was to protect me. His job, and because he didn't protect me, not only did this little boy feel like he could keep fighting me, but other boys on the street did too. So then I spent a great chunk of my childhood fighting unnecessarily and feeling insecure. Like every time I went outside, I worried, is this going to be the day that I get another fight? And so Jackie's Way talks about that, and I began to be more angry. And the last fight that he and I had, he tried to pull a knife on me, and that was kind of the wake-up call that maybe I need to learn how to deal with my anger some other way. And unfortunately, I had to kind of go through that alone. But Jackie has a grandfather who helps her, who talks to her about how she needs to, how she can manage her anger, how she can deal with this bully. And one of the pieces of advice he gives her is, he says, next time, when you get a chance, catch him by himself and
Mm.
have a conversation with him alone, because people are often different when it's just you and them.
Yep.
And so she does that. She catches him in a moment, and he gets scared because he's like, oh, I don't have a crowd behind me. She basically got the drop on me, and I didn't see her coming. She could really hurt me right now.
Right.
But she doesn't. She just asked him point blank, why do you hate me? Why do you always want to fight me? He goes, I don't know.
Mm.
And then they have this conversation about frogs, and from that moment forward, he never bothers her again. And in some ways, it was kind of like that with me and this guy across the street, except again, I didn't really have anybody. It kind of just happened by accident, right? And so by the time we got in high school, he would not let anybody bother me. If anybody said anything out of the way, he would defend me. And so and that's kind of going back to the book, In the Absence of My Father. I look at that and go, why didn't he, maybe he meant well, but it didn't turn out to be a good thing, because it made things worse. And so I talk about this in the book. It's a book of poetry, and I wrote it, started out because I was watching Oprah, which I know it sounds like a thing, but I really didn't watch Oprah a lot growing, I guess everybody just thinks all Black women watch Oprah all day long, but I really didn't. I did happen to be watching that day, and she was doing a show about fathers and fathers not being there, and kind of not, not taking care of the responsibility. So she had a father who had a bunch of kids by a bunch of different women, his mother, and one of his current girlfriends who he was not taking care of the children or child. And they both, the women were just crying and blah, blah, blah. You know, you're not doing this. And he looked at the mom and said, I don't know what you're crying for. You're the one who taught me that she don't need a man and my kids don't need me. And he said, every day you told me I don't need a man to raise y'all. I don't need a man to take care of y'all.
Wow.
Only thing I need a man for is, to get some. And so he believed it. And so he took that and said, what do they need me for? They'll be okay. I'm okay. They'll be okay. And so the mom was like, oh my God, he's right. And so now she's crying even more. But he made a valid point. Why are women getting angry when I know some women will get mad at me for saying it, but in many ways we created a lot of the problem by saying, I don't need a man. I'll be just fine. But you know what? We do need men. Our children need their fathers. And part of the reason why he was the way he was is because his father wasn't around. So I wrote this book so that I wanted women to understand, stop saying stupid stuff like that. I'm a product of a person whose father abdicated his responsibility. I know what it does to you, and people can say what they want. It impacts you. It messes with you. And even when you reconcile with that father, you never get over that. And it's, I won't say it's harder for women. It's just different, right? Because, even my brothers, it impacted them differently than it impacted me. But we need our fathers. We need our men, and we need them even as, I shouldn't say we need them even more in the Black community, but in some ways we do, because there's proof that our communities are destroyed and damaged because of the absence of fathers.
Wow. You had said something that it just hit me. It just hit me. All right. And the power of the tongue is something serious. And we don't know how it affects people down the line. And I wish, matter of fact, I'm gonna try to research that show to go back, because I never watched Oprah either. I'm sorry. I never watched Oprah. But I want to go back to that show, and I actually want to actually hear that show, because he said it to his mother, and his mother just turned around and started crying. And the power of the tongue is something serious.
Yeah.
It's something serious. Wow. I need that book. I'm gonna get that book from you. I'm gonna order that book from you.
Oh, I'm gonna send it to you. So just email me your address. I'll drop one in the mail for you.
Oh, thank you. Cause that, wow. Cause you know what? We're gonna do something special for that book too. Yeah.
And I'm gonna, if you don't mind, there's a lot of good stuff in there, and I say it because I feel like I'm really proud of this. But I want to talk. This is called third grade report card, right? Because people don't understand how what happens in the home. They don't necessarily fully think that it impacts them, right? So this third grade report card, it starts off reading A+, math A, language A+, art B, gym A, social studies A, science A. Teacher's comments. Changes in Lena, I noticed, starkly different from it when in first grade. She seems to be easily agitated, though her academics have not been delayed. No one can say anything to her, for she takes it all personally. If one says a word out of order, she kicks that poor kid in the knee. Seems she is always ready to fight. Is everything all right? Is little Lena okay? I just wanted to know, where is the sweet Lena of first grade? And these are literally real comments. I made them rhyme, but there are real comments on my third grade report card, because I had the same teacher in first grade that I had in third grade. And she sent that to my parents because she's like, what happened? This used to be the sweet child who never caused me problems. She just did everything. And now she's always angry. Somebody says something to her, she's ready to fight. She is just like so volatile. And that continued for many years. And even though I always did very well academically, and because I did well academically, people often didn't see the other things that were happening to me inside, because they just assume because someone does well in school, they ignore all these other things that are going on, right?
Right. Wow. We need to start looking at teachers' comments a little bit more.
I don't even know if my parents paid attention. Like, you think they'd have been like, let me get my child some therapy.
Right, right. Like, like seriously, like we you know what? I'm about to pay a whole lot close attention to a couple of comments now, and it's not to be laughing, but seriously, like these are the little things that we don't even like realize, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I see my daughter report card, okay, A, B. Never read the comments to see what's really going on. Like, oh, well, she got an A, she got a B, but the teacher can say, your daughter is very good in class and she's quiet, but when she get out of class, she like to run around and don't stop. Right? You know what I mean? Like we don't see none of that. So so you best
And
believe
then, you know what?
OT.
And it could be the opposite, right? Maybe normally she runs
Right,
around, and then all
right,
of a sudden she just doesn't.
right,
And then you go, wait a minute, that's not normal for her to not run around.
right.
Let me see what's
So
going on.
I am going to teachers. I want to read your comments a whole lot more. I'm going to start reading them because my daughter got a report card this yeah, Monday. So
Uh-huh.
I'm going to read the comments. So teachers, if y'all listening and y'all watching it, if y'all got any comments, go ahead and put it on there because I'm going to address these comments very fast in a hurry. Because you know what I mean. Honestly, parents, do we really look at the comments or do we just look at the grades and be like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, yeah, she got a C, she got a B, okay, all right, she got a D, she need to work on this. But teachers realize things because they actually watch our kids more than we do.
Yes.
And let me go ahead and just say that once again. The teachers actually watch our kids more than we do. So they
Mm-hmm.
see different things.
Mm-hmm.
And I know parents actually love the teachers more now because when the kids was out of school, they was going crazy. Parents, what I mean, like, hold on, wait a minute. My kid just don't sit down. Now I see why the teacher be saying that. Like, yeah, now you see it, and now you love
Yep.
them more, right? So, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh man,
That's a good point though, because you know, we sometimes parents miss suicides because they look at the outward appearance. Like you
yeah,
said, the kids doing great. They're not causing any problems, right?
yeah,
But they're not talking to us. And parents, I tell parents, you have to be intentional, especially when you have teenagers, because
yes,
they just kind of get away from us. They get into their own worlds and their own minds, and even with ours. And I feel like we're phenomenal parents, but we still have to be intentional, because
yes,
we don't want to make the assumption that our kids are okay,
right,
because they're not always okay, especially now in this time of instability and uncertainty.
yeah,
There's a lot of fear going on, depending on where you are, and just in general where you are and what you think about what's going on. You have kids who are feeling like, well, if this is the end, why even bother? Why even
hmm,
try? So you got kids checking out, and you just got
yeah,
to remind them, every generation has had to deal with something. Every
hmm,
generation has to some degree felt like maybe this was the end for their generation. Before this, you had Desert Storm, Desert Shield, you had Vietnam, you had
yeah,
the South Pacific Wars, you had World War II, World War One, Civil War.
hmm,
You could just go on and on and on. And all of those generations at the time thought this is it, this is the end. And it may be, but probably not. But even
right.
if it is, like I tell my kids, every day is a gift. Take it one day at a time until it's over. It ain't over.
Oh, yep,
So you keep pushing, you keep moving forward with your dreams. You never give up. Not until the curtain goes down, right?
yep.
But as long as the curtain is up, stage is set, it's go time, and you
That's
keep
it.
going. And that's, I believe that's what God will want us all to do. But and that all depends on where people believe. But whether you believe in God, whether you don't believe in God, we I've always been of the mindset, if you're not dead, you're alive.
Live. Yep.
As long as you're
Yep.
alive, you can do anything. I started martial arts at 45 because
Wow.
I was intending to sign my kids up, And the instructor, who was, she might have been 55 at the time, she said, oh, I started when I was 45, signing my kids up. I always wanted to do it, but I thought I was too old.
Right.
But I did it anyway. I have my black belt now. I'm working on my second degree. And I just tell
Oh,
people, you know, if there's something you want to do, don't make excuses. Just
just
do it.
do it.
And,
Yeah.
and don't let your age be a factor. Don't even let your physical shape. When I started martial arts, literally, was it 3 months, 6 months after I started, I broke my toe, had a hysterectomy, and then got diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, like within the space of 3 months. I was like, are you
Wow.
kidding me? This is,
Wow.
But I made up my mind that I didn't want to be on medicine for the rest of my life. I was
Mm-hmm.
not going to let whatever I was going through stop me. And I literally would just get on the floor and just do stretches. I couldn't do anything else because I had a broken toe. I was recovering from a hysterectomy.
Mm-hmm.
So I would just stretch.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I could do. And so I tell people, do what you can do with what you have, you know?
Yes. Yes. Wow. You know what? You are definitely a motivating speaker because you're motivating me.
Good.
Seriously, because you're motivating me.
I'm
Because
telling you, I tell my stories got story. When I used to see, going back to
see,
another story for
go ahead. I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
I worked with young people for like 25 years
Uh huh.
before I became a stay-at-home mom, and I stayed at home. I had my first child at 36, so I was really, really late. But I stayed at home, and when I went back into the workforce, I went back to communications, and because
Mm-hmm.
that was my first love. But before that, I worked with young people, and and I just tell them all the time, don't don't let don't let your current circumstances define your future.
Yes.
Don't let anything define who you are. Don't let anybody tell you who you are. And I know that life can be hard, but decide what you want to do, and let's figure out how to get it done, right? Um, and so even with the diabetes, I told my doctor, I said, I don't want to be on medicine the rest of my life. Let's come up with a plan that works for me, because I feel
Mm-hmm.
like doctors, a lot of time, nothing against them, but they want to put everybody in the same box. They want to
Yep.
just say, well, this is how it is. And so the first thing he wanted to do was put me on like 1,500 milligrams of metformin. And so I said, well, hold on, let me go see an endocrinologist. So she wanted to put me on 2,000 milligrams. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, hold on, can we come up with a plan for me?
Mm-hmm.
So she reluctantly agreed to give me a little bit of time to try to do it on my own. And so I was able to do it at that time without any medicine, and got it. My A1C at that time was like 10.9. I can't remember what it was. It was really high. And then got it down to 7.5 in 3 months. And within 6 months had it down to 5.5,
Mm-hmm.
and maintained that for years. And then I relapsed.
Right. Right.
Not gonna lie.
Everybody.
About 2 years ago, because I gotten complacent,
Mm-hmm.
and I got full of myself to some degree, thinking, oh, I did it without medicine, blah, blah. And so
Right.
I wasn't paying attention to what I was doing.
Mm-hmm.
And ironically, I was losing weight and didn't realize that my blood sugar had gotten high, because I thought I must be doing okay, even though I was just acting like a fool with my eating, right? And so I went to the doctor, and he said, oh, your A1C, I'm ashamed to admit it, was 13.5, right? And I think my fasting blood sugar was 330. Freaked me out. And I'm sitting up there crying because I know better.
Right.
And I'm like, no, this is not happening. So I did agree to go back on medicine for a little while. And I
Mm-hmm.
did, because I need people to understand, I'm not against medicine.
Right.
I think if you need to take medicine, you take your medicine, and you do what you need to do to get your health. So I took it so I could get where I needed to get, so I could get off. I think the goal for a lifestyle disease, it should always be to not be on it if you don't
Yep.
have to be. But I'm
Yep.
not ever going to tell anybody don't take your medicine, because if that's what you need to do to get healthy and to stay healthy, you do what you have to
What you
do.
got to do. Yeah.
Yeah. But your goal should be strive towards to trying to get off, or at least getting on the lowest dose that you can, so that you can protect the rest of your body. So I need to say that if you're struggling with it and you're on medicine, keep taking your medicine, but also do the things that you can do that's within your power to start reducing it, or maybe having a goal of coming off.
Yeah.
That's one of my other many stories.
Hey, listen, I definitely agree with you on that one because and I would tell anybody, and I had to learn this myself, do research on the effects of the medication
Yeah.
and what and what it would do to your body and other things. Because one thing that I have done research on is,
Hmm.
and I ain't afraid to say it, the medicine that I'm taking for my blood pressure actually affects my teeth,
Mm.
right? So I have to be very careful when it comes down to my gums and my teeth and everything, because see, these are certain things that they don't tell you,
Yeah.
right? They only tell you, oh, you might get a cramp here,
Hmm.
oh, you know what I mean, liver, but it's certain medicines that affect people in different ways,
Yeah.
and make sure y'all do y'all research on it. That's why Boy OT always going to the dentist all the time because he gotta make sure, because the
Yeah.
medicine that I'm taking do affect the gums and everything else. So yeah, yeah,
And what you're saying is true, because I think sometimes people forget, we're chemicals. We're just, everybody's chemical makeup is different, right?
yeah.
So what might, like, for you it's your teeth, for somebody else it could be something else. My mother-in-law's blood pressure medicine, from we found out later, was impacting her brain.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and one of the side effects of a lot of the blood pressure medicine is dementia. And
Yep.
so now she's struggling with dementia. And so, but you're right, they don't necessarily tell
Yep.
you. And if you read, like you did, you read, a lot of times it will tell you
Mm-hmm.
on the pharmaceutical, when you get it back. But most of us think, that's somebody else, that won't
Yep.
really
Yep.
affect me. But
Yep.
it's on there for a
For a
reason.
reason. Yes. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. So yeah, yeah, yeah. That's why, I always tell people, when y'all getting medicine, make sure you do your research
Hmm.
because it could affect people in different ways. Make sure which way is affecting you and stuff like that. Because
Hmm.
certain things that they can't do and certain
Yeah.
things that they can't do. So y'all make
Yeah.
sure y'all do y'all research. Wow. Open book. Open book. I call it. Matter of fact, I'm gonna call this show an open book.
I'm telling you. Which you want to talk about now? I'm telling you.
Right, right. This is
You
an
probably
open
got a
book.
background.
So, we didn't talk about bullying. Now, I want to get into that a little bit, right? Bullying, right? Because social media have taken over so much that we have kids getting bullied on social media,
Hmm.
and I tell my daughter one of the quickest things to do is just block them,
Hmm.
right? You can block them. You don't know these people,
Yep.
and these people don't know you.
Yep.
You could block them. And a lot of times now, kids are having a hard time with just blocking people.
Hmm.
Just a block.
Hmm.
I am trying to understand, what do social media have on our kids that are blinding them to so much things, because now it's nothing wrong with it, but it's just certain things on social media,
Hmm.
right? That are blinding our kids. And the bullying thing has gone to the point where you got people from different live in the same state that are bullying kids. And
Hmm.
I need our kids just to have the willpower to just say, block you.
Yep.
I need our kids to do that.
Yeah. It's very sad because I feel for them.
Yes.
Our generation didn't have that, right? And
Hmm.
I could probably go back even farther than you can. Like, we had one telephone in the house,
Yep, me
and
too.
you did too. Okay, well, you
Yep, yep.
understand.
Yep.
So we didn't have, it's the bullying is worse because
Yeah.
we could get away from it.
Yep.
It only typically impacted us when we walked outside of our house or was in a situation. Now they're surrounded, and I'm gonna tell you, and you might be able to attest to this too. Even as an adult, if I post something and somebody says something negative about it, my feelings get hurt because I'm
Yeah.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
wait a minute, I'm not trying to hurt anybody. So I've had to learn myself how,
Hmm.
and like, even now when I post something on my Instagram, I say, hey, this is my Instagram. If you
Yeah.
don't like what I post, go to your Instagram and post whatever you want, because I will block you. I will delete you. I
Yeah.
don't need your negativity. This is my page, right?
Mm-hmm.
On my social, on my all of my subscriptions, I block notifications. So if I
Mm-hmm.
post something or say something and somebody replies back to it, I don't get a notification anymore. I had to do that for me
Mm-hmm.
because I find myself getting in debates with strangers, and I'm like,
Yeah.
hold up, I don't know
Right.
these people. They don't pay my bills. They don't impact my life. I don't care about these
Yes.
people. And so you're right. Our young people have to be the same way. Um, I'm very fortunate that my kids are not big social media people. Like they're on Instagram. They have pseudonyms. Only their friends
Mm-hmm.
know who they are.
Mm-hmm.
And they're not on Facebook. And that's I didn't never block them or ban them or anything. They just weren't really interested, and
Right.
I'm very fortunate. And even on YouTube, they're pretty much just looking. They're
Right.
not on Twitter, so um, and they kind of went to a geeky school. I'm not gonna lie, they went to a school of the arts, and the boys are in a Christian school now. Nobody's like they're
Really
like
paying
me.
attention. Right. Right.
So they're not really having those issues, but so we're very fortunate. But I see a lot of other young people who do, and
Mm-hmm.
trying to get them to turn it off. I don't understand. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like maybe there's an addiction issue because I
Yeah.
don't understand why they can't turn. I literally, and I was on Facebook. I closed my Facebook account when back in early 2020, when people had all these different opinions about different. Actually, I closed it before that. I think I may have closed it during the election,
Mm-hmm.
Trump Biden, because I found out way too much about people than I wanted to know. I found
Yeah.
out people what they really thought about stuff, and I'm like, oh, if we're gonna stay friends, I need to get off of Facebook.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I canceled it, but I did that for me. And if I could only get young people to understand the same thing, you know what? Get off
Yeah.
of that. You got to give
Yeah.
yourself a break. And you know, I'm also very fortunate that my kids are a lot like me in that even growing up, I did not care what people thought about me. It was
Yeah.
like I know that I don't bother anybody, and I try my best to get along with everybody. So I just decided if you didn't like me, there was something wrong with you
What would
because
you?
I'm a
Yep.
fantastic person. Um,
I
So if
love
only
that. I
all our
love
kids
that.
could be that way, I just like, and my daughter's the same way. Somebody could say something to her, she'd be like, I don't care.
Right. But a lot of kids, like I said, a lot of kids are going through things, in households, um, amongst family, friends, and stuff like that. And we all went through it. Like I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to always say, we all went through something that they went through,
Yeah.
right? Growing up. Like I tell my kids now, stuff that you doing now, I already did that. Now,
Right.
and I try to talk to you about it, but you think that, oh well, daddy, you think you know it. Well, I know it because I did it.
Exactly.
Right. Because I know what you're about to do because I did that already. Now y'all got different resources, but it's all the same. It's all the same, and it's a blessing sometimes that our kids listen to us, and then it's a blessing sometimes that they don't. Because I remember, my mama used to always say, "Oh, you're going to get it all when you have your
Oh,
own kids. Oh yeah, you're going to get it all." And mama, you are absolutely right. You know,
yeah. My mom used to say, I hope you have a daughter just like you. And I'd be
yeah.
like, oh, I do too, because she's going to be awesome. And now I do, I'm like, oh, snap. She say whatever's on her mind, just like me.
So it's going to
I
come
like
back.
that.
It's going to come back. It's definitely going to come back, and it's true. It's true. It's true because we really didn't realize how our parents were struggling to do certain things, and now we're doing the same.
Mm-hmm.
We're doing the same, and the kids think we're like a bankroll of money, like we got a
Oh,
stash of money everywhere. Where in actuality, we have money, but sometimes, baby, the money ain't for you, right?
you not lying, because my kids look, Mom, just go to the bank. I'm like, that's not how it works.
Right.
You can go to the bank, but ain't nothing there.
My daughter be like, "Hey, Dad, just go ahead and Zelle me some money to my account." I'm sitting back looking at her like, "Really? That's what you want me to do? Can you?" can you zing me some money? Can I hear a ding on my phone? Oh, daddy, I got you when I get older. Yeah, okay, I heard that. I already heard that before from your oldest. So I'm still waiting for that one to come. But but
One
it's
day.
true. Yeah, it's true. It's true. So I hope if parents are listening, and watching through all the medias and everything else, I hope we try to understand that yeah, our kids are going through something. When your kid is quiet, it's something to ask, something to
Yeah.
talk about, something to talk about. Seriously.
Yeah. And that goes back to, about being intentional. You have to
Mhm.
have conversations, and it drives my kids crazy nowadays, but I'll just go in their room and just sit on the bed like, what's happening? What's going on?
Yeah,
Talk
yeah,
to me. What you want,
yeah,
mom? I'm like, I just want to talk. What's happening? What's up? Oh, nothing.
yeah,
And then they like, when you gonna leave? I'm like, when you tell me something, I'm gonna sit right here,
yeah,
And
yeah.
sometimes I just sit there and we don't even have to talk, just
Right.
just that they know that you cared enough to come in and just say, hey, you
Yep.
know.
Yep. Because they're going to remember that. They're going to remember
Mm-hmm.
that. How much our kids complain like, you always in there. You just want to just sit down around me. Believe me, you're going to remember that.
Mm-hmm.
You best believe it. And it's going to be that day when you get grown and you sitting there. You're like, man, I wish my mama or my daddy was sitting right
Oh
here with me.
man. Yeah.
Right? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So yeah. So embrace the moments.
Yes.
All our kids, please embrace the moments. You know what I mean? When you do be with your parents and stuff like that, just embrace the moment. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? Because
Mm-hmm.
that moment is always special. Wow. I don't know. Like I said, you're like this is an open conversation. This is an open book right here. You know, now we didn't talk about first book and we talked about your second, we talked about your third. What else is going on with you? Right.
Not just working. Let's see, what else can we talk about?
Right. Just working, how did the pandemic uh if it affected you or if it didn't affect you, how did it change things around you? Because
Excuse me. Um, it definitely affected everybody. Okay, whether it was just financially, emotionally, psychologically. I can't imagine anyone who didn't feel it some kind of way. We have been very, very fortunate that none of us have gotten sick. None of my friends or family have gotten sick. None of my neighbors. And sometimes I almost feel bad about saying that because as soon as I do, the first thing people think, "Oh, you must be one of the people that don't believe it's real." I'm like, I ain't never said that. I just said
right,
we're blessed that
exactly.
no. I mean, that's not to say I don't know people who, uh, know people, and I'm not certainly not stupid. I can see what's happening in the world, but I feel like I should be able to say my blessings without having to feel bad or make a disclaimer, right?
Right.
Um, so from that standpoint, we've been very, very fortunate. But it impacted my husband's business. He owns his own business,
Hmm.
so he lost. I won't say he lost clients because they'll come back eventually. But
Right.
they canceled all of his contracts. Got canceled. Very fortunate that he was able to get unemployment during that
Hmm.
time. We're still having to make decisions, but I think the biggest for me and most important way it has impacted me, and I'm going to say this as a positive because it's making me trust God even more.
Mm, mm,
Because
mm.
reality is everything's very unstable. People's
Yes.
jobs are unstable. You're having, people are having to make decisions about their job or the vaccine. And so it's a very scary time for a lot of people. But what God has taught us and showed us and proved to us is that I got you. And
Yes.
no matter what, I'm going to take care of you. And,
Hmm.
sometimes people say, well, how can you be that way? And I'm like, well, one, God was taking care of me and my family before all of this.
Hmm.
He gonna keep taking care of me and my family after all this. He's been taking care
Hmm.
of me and my family during all this. So, um, and I'm not gonna lie because I'm human. You go through that time, that period where you're kind of like, oh, but then
Yep.
God just has reminded me through His Word, through other people that you don't need to worry about it. You just stand still
Yep. And I
and
got
and,
you.
and wait on me. I got you. I
I
got your
got you.
family. And so that's what I'm doing. We're just trusting God through all of this. And So it's been a good opportunity even to talk to our kids,
Mm-hmm.
about trusting God. It's been a good opportunity to talk to them, and I don't want to assume where people are who are listening, but I am a believer. I do believe in the Bible and what the Bible talks about. And so it's been a good
Yeah.
opportunity for us to talk to them.
Mm-hmm.
But also from a realistic standpoint too,
Yeah.
going back to the earlier in the conversation where you have people like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. And
Right.
like, no, it's
No,
not. But
not.
even if it is, guess what? I'm still good.
Yeah. Right. Right. Exactly. Exactly. Exactly.
So just, teaching them to just rest
Mm-hmm.
in the middle of all this. And like I said, it's not always easy, because that would be a lie to just pretend like every day you're going through like, yay, I'm
Right.
super Christian and
Yeah.
everything, because that's
It's
fake.
still a struggle. Yep.
That's
Yeah.
fake. Some days you're like that, and other days you're like, oh God, are you really gonna? And God just has to remind you, yes, I'm going to.
Mm-hmm.
So to answer your question, that has been the biggest thing, is really trusting God to take care of us, because when everything's going great, you just kind of, it's easy to be super Christian, right? When
Yep.
everything's going
Yep.
fantastic.
Yep.
But it's a lot harder when you
When it's out.
struggling.
Yep. Yep. That's a fact. That's a fact. That's definitely a fact. And I would say this on my part. It has been a blessing for me because I got to do the things that I was destined to do.
Mm,
Right. And sometimes when you neglect it, it comes back around. Now it's saying, okay, you're home now. So what are you
mm-hmm,
going to do now?
mm-hmm,
So, like I said, with different projects and stuff like that and stuff, because I was off the air for like 2 years. I'm
mm,
just going to put it out there. I was off the air for 2 years, and I was debating whether I was going to come back or not. And I was like, I got to get this again. I got to get all this stuff, and then it hit, boom, and then it's like, okay, now what you going to do? Okay, you said you got to get this. Okay, I'm going to give you the finance to get this. Now you said you got to do this. Now I'm going to give you the finance to do this. Uh, you said you need help with this, but then I'm going to bring people around you to help you with
mm-hmm.
it. So now it's going to be your excuse. So now here I am. All right.
And you
Here
know
I
what?
am.
You make a good point too, because I just did an interview with a guy, because I do this show called the Synergy Show with Central State Community and Economic Development Extension, and
Mm-hmm.
that was part of the conversation. More businesses have started under the pandemic than before. So
Yeah.
the positive side of all this is people are taking this opportunity, to your point, to do things they always wanted to do, but maybe didn't have the resources, maybe were afraid, maybe they were
Mm-hmm.
stuck in a job. It's forced a lot of people to rethink their whole lives, and
Yeah.
realize, you know what, I hate this job. I'm gonna go do what I love, And
Yeah.
so you make a good point. Let's look, and that's kind of what I try to teach my kids. I know it's, again, it kind of feels weird to say it because people get mad at you depending on where
Yeah.
they are, but there have been some positive things
Yes, I
that
have.
have come out of this, and that is
Yes, I
one
have.
of them, the rise in entrepreneurship.
Yes. Yes, I have. Yes, I have. Yes, you are actually speaking it. Because I'm telling people, and I tell people all the time, I left a job for 13 years. I've been at a job for 13 years and just decided just to walk away.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally, like it was like, okay, now I did have other resources behind me,
Mm-hmm.
but for me to let go of
Yeah.
13 years of me being here and doing everything that I'm supposed to have done and give them that piece of paper and say it effective immediately. And it was like I walked in and everybody's like, oh, you know what I mean? Okay, what you got for the day? And I'm like, nothing. This is what I have. Do anybody find the director or anything? Y'all see him? And they like, yo, what's going on? Here you go. Effective immediately. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
what's going on? It's just my time to go.
Yeah.
And sometimes we gotta realize sometimes we are in places where it is your time to go, but you're
Mm-hmm.
so comfortable and you're so stuck there that you don't realize the other blessings around the corner.
Yep.
So for 13 hours, I was spending at a job every day. Now it's 8 hours at one job and still getting paid more. So
Oh
how about
wow, that's awesome.
that? So how about that one? How about that? And I tell anybody, like, seriously, like, sometimes you gotta just you're stuck there because you're comfortable there,
Yep.
and God really don't want you there.
Yep.
So He's gonna figure out a way to get you out of there, either you like it or not. But He's gonna
Mm-hmm.
figure it out, and when He
Yep.
figure it out, you're gonna be sent back like, I should have did this a long time ago.
Yep. Yep.
So
Well,
listen.
congratulations to you. That's
Oh,
awesome.
thank you. Yeah. So it's just sometimes your time is up.
Yeah.
My grandma said it one time before. She said sometimes you can't be stuck in one place, and when your time is up, you, your time is up from that place.
Yep.
Get up and go.
Yep.
Don't be scared because He opened up that door. He got a whole lot of other doors that He's
Yep.
planning on opening up for you.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, look. Oh man. Well, look. I wish I had more time. I love the energy. I love the organic conversation. I love everything, and we got to bring you back on. So please, I'm going to ask you. I'm going to talk to your publicist. Uh, I need her back on.
Yeah,
Seriously,
I'll
I
come
need you
anytime
back
you want me to.
on. Yes, because the things that you was talking about, especially uh, in the community, of the things that don't get talked about. We talked about it, and I felt so good just hearing things. And you gave me knowledge, and I want to say you gave me knowledge of actually reading the comments to the teachers that I need to start pointing out. Seriously, seriously, and I'm serious about, like, when my guests give me something, I'm going to tell them thank you,
You're
seriously, thank
welcome. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Thank you. So, can you tell all our family, because I like to call them family, so tell our family, subscribers, listeners, everybody, where can they find you on social media and on websites?
So, website lenafieldsarnold.com and social media at Lena Fields-Arnold, Instagram. That's probably where I'm at the most.
Hmm.
I'm on LinkedIn. You could just type my name in. I don't really do a lot. I really need to get better at my social media. My publicist is always telling me, Lena, you need to do better. She told me I need to get TikTok. I need to
Yeah,
get TikTok.
listen, hold on. I'm glad to say that because you know what? My daughter told me that's what I need to do, and I'm like, I'm just not into the TikTok thing. But my daughter like,
Man,
Daddy, you gotta get TikTok. I'm like,
it took
well, how do
everything
you
for
do
me
all
to
that?
finally get on Instagram. I'm like, damn,
Right,
as
right.
soon as I got on that, y'all got something new. Come on.
But see, when people fail to realize, like, listen, I don't have a whole team behind me that's going to be on this thing. Like, y'all want me on here like 24. I do have a life to do other things, right? So I don't know. I don't know. I told my daughter, my exact words to her was, I would get it if you be overseeing over it.
Yeah.
And you know, she told me, no, Dad, I'm good.
See, you know what?
See?
It must be this generation because my daughter did the same thing. And I'm like, one
But
day,
see,
baby, we'll get on TikTok together and do something
yeah,
like
yeah,
that.
yeah, it's something. Because I mean, this is what they telling us to do, but then our kids, oh, get it, get this, get this. But then we say, okay, all right, but then you be the overseers. Oh no, I'm
And
good.
as soon as we get on it, something new gonna come out. They're
Yep,
gonna tell us that we need to get on right.
yep, yeah. So, all right, so go ahead and tell them again because we just start having fun again.
So LenaFieldsArnold.com, at Lena Fields-Arnold Instagram, Emperor Publishing on YouTube and Daily Motion, and you know, let's see, at Upscale PR on Instagram if you want to contact me through my publicist, Upscale PR. That's pretty much it.
Hold on, I forgot to ask you one other question. Like, listen, we've been having so much fun. You know what? We ain't done yet. We ain't done yet. How would
Part two is coming. The
part two?
sequel.
I want to know, how was it owning your own publishing company?
It's fantastic in the sense of I get to control the
Yes.
process.
Yes.
But I tell people, excuse me, if it's something you think you're gonna get rich off of, don't do it for that reason. You might, but you gotta have passion because that's one of the biggest things that people think when they're asking me, because a lot of times I'll help other people establish their own publishing company. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll just tell them what they need to do, or I'll help people publish their own books. And there's this misnomer, or I don't know if that's the right word, that they're going to publish a book and they're going to make all this money, or they're going to start a publishing company and they're just going to get rich. And I'm like, you're probably not, because it's a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
The goal when you have your independent publishing company, and when you publish a book independently, is either A, you're doing it because you just really love you really just love it.
Mm-hmm.
Two, you're trying to sell enough books to get a contract with a larger publishing house.
Mm-hmm.
And three, you have enough money to invest in it to be that larger publishing house. And because that means now you've got a marketing team, and you've got a lot of different people. Because I mean, it's possible, but it's not something that's going to happen without you investing your own
Mm-hmm.
money. And then even when I get people coming to me wanting me to help them publish a book, there's also they they don't realize that they have to invest in themselves. You know,
Yeah.
there are publishing companies out there that will take you on, but it's not that easy to
Mm-hmm.
get those. And I
Mm-hmm.
had that opportunity, but then I didn't like the way they were trying to take my product, and so
Right.
I decided to do it myself. And it's been a blessing, because I if I had published that first book under a major publishing house, I couldn't have given that book away for 99 cents. They wouldn't let me.
Wow.
And so, but because I did it, I can control the pricing. And if I can figure out a way to give it away for free, I really will.
Right. Right. Right.
um, the Barnes and Nobles won't let me put zero in.
Wow. 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 We need to talk to Barnes and Nobles. Who, we need to get with these folks. We need to get with these folks. Seriously. Wow. So thank you again.
You're
Thank you
welcome.
again. And we gotta have. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna
Yeah,
reach
next
out
time
to
we'll do a
you.
whole show. I'll read some more poetry, because I love
Yes. 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 I need that. I need that because honestly, what you read from the third grade, and I was sitting there listening to you, and I'm like, yeah, yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. It it gives you a sense of understanding from another side. You know how people say, okay, well, I said the same thing, but then when somebody else says it, it kind of resonate with you a little bit more, right?
Hmm.
That's what that was. Like, oh, read the comment. Psh, okay, whatever. But then but but then right now when you read it, and I'm sitting back, I'm like, damn, yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Now I read all the comments on my
yep,
kids.
yep, yep. So my daughter done messed up now. She, it's like, oh yeah, that ain't gonna read the comments. Oh no, hold up, baby girl, come here. Let me go ahead and talk to you about this. Okay, so they saying that, oh, you like being loud in class. Okay, even though you got an A, you still like being loud in class. Yeah, yeah. Okay, I got it now. She messed up. She messed up now. But yeah,
See,
thank you again. I appreciate you.
you're
I
welcome.
appreciate you
Thank
so
you for
much.
having me, and you have a wonderful day and
You
wonderful
too. You
weekend.
too. Oh, listen, I'm about to reach out to you anyway, DM and all that good stuff. Now that's so crazy. Say I'm gonna hit you up on a DM. That, that's just wild to me.
Yeah, because
Every
you gotta
time I
let me know
say
what to
it,
send the books to, so I gotta send you
I
some books.
Okay, I got it. I got you. All right. Well, I appreciate you once again. Thank you for joining me on this beautiful Saturday. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you. I appreciate the energy. I appreciate the open conversation of being original. Right. This was like one of the best conversations I had.
Oh,
With
thank
you. I
you.
appreciate
You
you
made my
so much.
day.
Thank you. No, you made my day. I appreciate you. Get a love to the kids. Get love to everyone. Husband, everyone. Thank them because they gave me you. So I appreciate y'all so much
Thank
for letting me
you.
borrow, mama, for a couple of minutes, a couple of hours. Thank you. I appreciate y'all. Thank you again. So much love to you and enjoy your weekend.
You too. Bye
All
bye.
right, bye bye. Oh man, beautiful show, beautiful show. I loved her. I appreciate her. And y'all make sure y'all go ahead and check her out. Everything, all the descriptions is under it. And yo, I will see y'all again on Friday at 7:15. It might be another one at 5:15. You saying? Okay, well we got some stuff lined up for y'all. We got a couple of comedians coming on too. So get ready. But we here. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. And I gotta say this before I go. We are Penn State. Let's go Penn State. Let's go Temple. You know what I mean? Let's go. because 7:30 is the Penn State and Auburn game. So all y'all Auburn fans, shout out to all my folks down there in Alabama. I appreciate y'all, especially the Auburn fans. I've been waiting for this for a long time. And all the people know what I'm talking about when I used to be working down there in Montgomery, Alabama. You know what I mean? We got the Auburn fans and we got the Roll Tide fans. Now I get the Auburn fans. So, hey, I appreciate y'all. I love y'all. Y'all be good. And 7:30 all white game. Even though I'm not supposed to be promoting it, but hey, whatever. I'm a football fan. And best believe Sunday, San Fran, the Eagles in San Fran, I got the Eagles beating them by 7. That's all I got to say to y'all. I love y'all. Y'all be good. And peace, blessings, and y'all make sure y'all have yourself a great weekend. Peace.